Okay. Just want to have to just wanted to have a quick conversation about like getting nostalgia. And aren't you getting nostalgic sometimes about the brands that you used to see, stores that are not open anymore? Kind of like I remember when I was a kid, there was a store named Woolworth, and it was near the shopping center near my house, and that brand is long gone. I think the only thing that's left of them is Foot Locker, if you can think of it. Nowadays, you got more like your Sears, your Kmart's, KB Toys. It's kind of old too. I'm kind of aging myself around here. I don't care about that. Also happens in the world of guitar. Like I remember looking at the catalogs when I was a teen, and there were a lot of guitars that I don't see there right now. Happens on the opposite too. You couldn't even see Fender back then. Like not even Fender was there. It was like Rogue, which was like musicians' friends, kind of like brand name, in-store brand. Um, there was something called Blades guitar, and I remember hearing Blades guitar, and I'm like, well, maybe seeing the prices, and I'm like, maybe when I get a little bit more money, I can buy a Blades guitar. But those brands are nowhere to be found nowadays, and I'm like, what happened to them? Where are they? Are they gone and they disappear? Like a lot has happened with other brands that are no longer pressing. And I'm not talking about like builders like Epiphone and stuff like that. That at some point they existed, and they're like something different that they were supposed to be. We can talk about some other day. But I'm talking about the ones that are non-existent anymore, or at least are hard to find. I was in a store. Was it yesterday? I think it was on Saturday, and I saw a Parker in the wild. Parker guitar. I've never seen one before. Well, I mean, Parker American made one, the well, not the real ones, but the expensive ones. And make me wonder. I'm like, okay, what else am I missing? Because I used to have one that was like the made in Korea, uh, less expensive. I think it was at the point that they sold it to a big conglomerate, so you could see look, so I bought that guitar. Back then it was like $700, $600, which by then was a lot of money. It's like $1,000 today. Um, and I traded that guitar. So yeah, seeing this guitar around made me wonder what happened to these guitars, Parker guitars, and see the whole body and the contours and all the technology they put it in. Did it fail? Was it a bad construction? What happened? So put it together around 4 of these brands and look around for some information that I can share with you. And the first one of them that I would like to talk about is hammer guitars. Now, hammer guitars, back then it was a brand that I associated with like Explorer guitars, like the Gibson Explorer, and I saw it around, and I was like, why would I get that if I can get a Gibson? But back then I didn't understand that much of the industry, and I found some information that I would like to share. Just a moment there. Okay, so these are experts from Wikipedia.
Hamer Guitars was an American electric guitar manufacturer founded in 1973 in Wilmette, Illinois, by vintage guitar shop owners Paul Hamer and Joel Danzig. The company's early instruments featured guitar designs based on the Gibson Explorer and Gibson Flying V, before adding more traditional Gibson-inspired designs such as the Sunburst. Hamer Guitars is generally considered the first boutique, vintage-style electric guitar brand that specifically catered to professional musicians. It was acquired by Cayman Music Corporation in 1988, which was purchased in turn by Fender Musical Instruments Corporation in 2008. After a 4-year hiatus since Fender had discontinued the Hamer models in 2013. The brand was reintroduced as a subsidiary of KMC Music, which announced the return of imported-only Hamer guitars at the NAMM show that same year.
All right, so you can see it was a brand that was kind of like they were copying Gibsons and they were copying other manufacturers, mainly Gibson, but their point was like to make a better, more of a boutique feel guitar. So instead of feeling this whole just production guitar like any other Gibson, they wanted to make it a little bit more special, a little bit more boutique, a little bit more quality wise. I don't know if back then Gibson was having some problems with production, maybe not giving them, not throwing out their on the market their best guitars. So it was like an answer to that. There's a band, specifically a band, I think it was Cheap Trick. The guitarist used to have hammer guitars, like almost exclusively. And would like to share with you.
Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and here is the #1 first ever made Hamer guitar.
So as you can see, this is what's his name again? Forgot his name. I'm sorry, but you can check it. It's showing you the first Hammer guitar, the very first one, the one that was made by Hammer for him back when they were just like a local luthier. So yeah, I mean,
and I'm the first ever made Rick Nielsen. I'm Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. This is the very first Hamer ever made, and now we're gonna have some cheap lunch. Hi, I'm Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and this is the #1 very first ever made Hamer guitar. And now we're gonna have some cheap Ricks from Flick.
You see, I'm not the only one who I'm not the only one who messes up around here. I'm just kidding. All right, so these are the Hammer guitars, right? The ones that you can purchase and buy. used in the used market now, because they don't make them anymore. As you could see in the information, to hear it, they were sold to a conglomerate, and after that they just started doing like slammer guitars, which was it Fender that bought them, and they were putting out like less expensive guitar, like cheap guitars from made in China, Korea. Nothing wrong with that, just saying. So they stopped being kind of like what they were offering. They stopped doing that. So it wore down until like they were discontinued at the end of that. So that's what happened to them. They not make anymore. Yeah, Fender bought them and reintroduced them, and you can't see them anymore. So if you see one in the wild and you were interested in them, you might as well just jump on the opportunity, because they're not around anymore. All right, I found a website that you could check all the information you needed from Hammer guitars. It has a catalog, and in that catalog, you can see the catalogs. This is like a 1999 catalog, and you can see other years too. Like right now, you can see the pages one by one. It's like a 1999 catalog, what they were offering, information on them, who was playing them. Right there. I can barely read that. David Sinclair. It's like double cut Les Pauls, pretty much. Double cut Les Pauls. Yeah. And this is like the Explorer. A little different over here. Was it James Hetfield that played one of these? I'm not sure. So, yeah. See, like a 335. So that's the 1999 catalog from Hammer. This website. So if you're a fan of Hammer guitars, you can go to hammerfanclub.com and find all the information that they gathered throughout the internet. They're offering a book, The Ultimate and Illustrated History of Hammer Guitars. You can find more information if you're interested. Go to this website. All of these websites and videos that I'm using in this video, I'm using in fair use, and all the references are on the description. It gives you some of the players. This is Rick Nielsen, the one that was talking about his guitar, which was the very first Hammer guitar. Def Leppard used Hammer guitars. Judas Priest. Right. Steve Stevens. Oh, this guy's pretty good. Why didn't I went to Steve Stevens? Give me Steve Stevens. Okay, so misbehaving right now. Okay, so Lita Ford, Johnny Ramone, Bernard Reed, Gary Moore. It was mostly a Les Paul guitar. Okay, so some of the ads, and yeah, the 1999 catalog. You can see the different types of guitar they offer. The information about how to get the, see which serial number goes with your guitar. Okay. Here you see like the information. If you have one of them, you are curious about the serial numbers. And the guitar. So this is the Hammer Standards, the first one they made, which is like a Gibson Explorer, nearly identical to the Gibson Explorer with some variations. Okay. Sunburst. I think that's an Explorer with a sunburst. I'm not sure. The Vector. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's like a Flying B, the Vector. See? Information about it. Some pictures. 1981. Okay, for those 80s fans. The Millibeer Hammer. Okay, the Millibeer Hammer guitar. So yeah, you got a lot of information in this website about hammer guitars and whatnot. Right. Okay, so that was hammer guitars. The next guitar that I don't see around, that I used to see in catalogs and the local music store. I'm not sure if it's out or not, but it's Fernandes. Fernandes guitars. What I know about them, mostly what I know about them, was that they had a sustainer. So at some point, I believe all of them had a sustainer, which is I may be mistaken, which is a little is a pickup that has a battery included on it, and it sustains your notes until you let them go or it runs out of batteries. So you can see some Fernandes guitars. If I'm not mistaken, they started as like a Fender copies, like a lot of guitars do. And I remember seeing Kurt Cobain with one Fernandes guitar. I mean, a picture of him, not him personally. I also believe that the sustainer that Steve Vai uses is a Fernandes. Yeah. So I would like to get some information from Fernandes. So, and have the assistant read it to you.
Fernandes Guitars is a guitar brand of Japanese marketing company Fernandes Co. Limited. It is one of two guitar brands belonging to the company, the other being Bernie Guitars, which are Gibson guitar replicas. Its parent company originated in 1969 as Saito Musical Instruments before changing its name to Fernandes in 1972. The company started as a distributor of flamenco guitars, subcontracting to Japanese factories to build them. As the company grew, it expanded production to include electric guitars, bass guitars, amplifiers, and accessories to become one of the biggest guitar producers in Japan. Early manufacturing was done by Kawai Gaki, whom had guitar building experience from their acquisition of Taisco in 1967. Other major Japanese manufacturers have built guitars for Fernandes under original equipment manufacturer arrangements, including Matsumoku, Dyna Gaki, and Tokai Gaki. From the late 1980s, lower-spec guitars have also been built in Korea and more recently China.
Okay, so like other guitars, I believe Ibanez did the same thing. They had the Spanish name because Ibanez, I think it was Ibanez. It was supposed to be the original name. So like other guitar makers, just started taking orders and making other guitars. So not only they didn't only make their own guitars, but also make guitars for others. Can't find that Kurt Cobain picture. So yeah, it's similar to Ibanez. So apparently they're still around. They're just a company subcontracted to make guitars for others, kind of like Samick or Cort, which is Cortec, which makes like most of the guitars in the world, or like at least half of them. Yeah, very interesting. So they're still around. It's just that more difficult to see than others. And yeah, that's that. So I would like to check some of the information I found on Fernandes. Okay. Just a moment, please. Okay. So Fernandes. All right. Okay. So I found a video that was Steve Vai with with the Fernandes sustainer. Actually, it's on my channel. I took that video live when I saw him live. So some of the tricks that you can do with the Fernandes sustainer. That horsey, yeah. Everybody knows the bad horsey. See that the note doesn't die? It's supposed to die out, but you know, he has that sustainer on him, so yeah. Yeah, so that's the Fernandes sustainer. There's also this guy. It's kind of playing on clean, but with the sustainer on. It's an idea that he can do with it. Like a little etude. Kind of cool too, yeah. Things you can do with the sustainer, the Fernandes sustainer. Yeah, so that's Fernandes for you. Pretty cool brand. Didn't find that much more information like the actual website. I mean, they're still around. Oh, also I figure I jumped through one of the videos after the Rick Nielsen video. I have an old video here from the Hammer Guitar Factory tour in 1987. I would like to share that with you. So we're going backwards to Hammer. Yeah, my bad. So yeah.
But their biggest challenge lies with the customized models, made for musicians like Cheap Trick's Rick Nielsen.
I knew Paul before he was making guitars. That's right. And since then, I've had guitars on almost all our album covers.
That's him, Rick Nielsen, the guy from the previous video.
Rick Fernandes is drawing
Some real artwork here.
that's going to be part of the artwork on their new album cover.
I sent the artwork to Paul. It doesn't look like much now, but this is supposedly
It's
a
really
doctor's
goofy.
head. Some of the doctors I know don't look quite as good.
All right, so yeah, that's kind of cool. And they have other like artists. Well, there's some of these music copyrighted, so I gotta jump it. So
Legendary guitarist John Entwistle of The Who and members of Quiet Riot, Loverboy, Kiss, and Night Ranger were just some of the superstars.
Let it not be said that Bruce Kulick of Kiss did not tune his guitar.
all right, so yeah, more artists that use the guitar. Sorry if I keep going back and forward. All right. You can see some of the.
Excuse to get together and play music again.
Did you see our set? I'll tell you what, it's well lit. He told me to use it. Well, that's if you're close in. So. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's rock and roll. What, Iron Maiden isn't loud? Come on, you know?
You know those Hamer guitars are hard to find?
Are they?
Yeah, I mean, only a few select guitars.
Okay. So apparently this guy had a tape and he went over the tape to a different thing. To an Eric Clapton concert. Good thing though. So yeah, those were the Hammer guitars and Fernandes guitars. I would like to check the Parker guitars, which is the guitar that I actually see at the local guitar store, and was kind of like salivating after it. It was like one of these, but in black. Really, really nice. You look at these curves and all that. Now, here's the funny thing. Back in the 90s, I will see something like that, And I will start thinking like, that's goofy. Look at that. It looks like a fish. And I putting up a lot of excuses and a lot of like, I don't want that. That's ugly. Because back then I was, and I'm still are, kind of like into the Les Pauls, into the classic products like the Fender Stratocaster, Telecaster, even the some of the quicker ones like the Jaguar and all of that, Jazzmasters. But this one, it looked too futuristic for me. Kind of like too like, oh my god, that's so modern. But these people were really ahead of their time. Like these guitars had a lot of modern, in a good way. They were breakthrough guitars. I actually found a video from like one of their employees or even the maker, like from the original company, and I would like to share it with you. It's a great video. Also has like uh, the factory tour. Okay, and I'll share it with you now.
That was lightweight, and he also wanted a guitar that was very, very well balanced.
I have it on fast because the guy talks so slow that I mean it will take us forever to be here.
In addition, he wanted a guitar that was consistent, so that when you tried one guitar and then another, they actually felt and played the same, as opposed to when you go into a store and you try a guitar, it doesn't feel quite right, and then you try another one, it doesn't feel quite right. You might have to try 12, 15, 20 guitars until
Happened
you
to
find one
me.
that feels exactly right for you, and you're like, wow, that's the guitar for me. And that's good, that's part of the fun in purchasing guitars, but what it does is it illustrates the inconsistency from one guitar to the next, and the reason for that is the materials that the guitars are made out of, as well as the manufacturing process.
So they say that the inconsistencies between guitars is because of the manufacturing process and the materials. So he mixed wood with other materials, and his handcrafting was very different, very ahead of his time, to come up with like the perfect instrument or the more consistent instrument.
So what Ken wanted was a guitar that was consistent from one to the next. He also wanted a guitar that had greater tuning stability. He wanted a guitar that had better intonation, and he wanted a guitar that could withstand the temperature and humidity changes that we put our instruments through, so that you wouldn't have to worry about seasonal truss rod adjustments every time the weather or the temperature changed. As he began to design this guitar, what he did is he started with a solid piece of wood here for the body, and if you take a close look here at the back of the guitar, you'll notice that he carved out quite a bit of the wood. And now
I mean, it took a lot of chunk of the wood right there, like right here, right in this area. Like, doesn't that affect sustain or something? But I mean, yeah, I'm not a guitar builder. I'm just talking about here. It must be pretty great to like put your hand in that area and kind of like have access to the upper frets.
that was to reduce the weight. The neck is also a solid piece of wood, and it's joined to the body using a patented multi-finger joint. This particular part of the guitar, for all guitars, is the weakest spot on the guitar. And some people
Like right here, I can see a contour over here, kind of like the neck getting into the pocket of the wood right there. Looks pretty cool.
actually refer to it as the Bermuda Triangle of sound. But with Ken's patented neck joint here, the way the neck is joined to the body makes a very, very, very strong joint. So there's consistency from this guitar in terms of the resonance or the vibration from the neck all the way through to the body. So again, the neck is also solid wood, and depending on the model, it's either going to be basswood, mahogany, it could be maple. And the guitar, because the truss rod is music wire, as opposed to a heavier steel, is very well balanced. You'll notice as I sit here on my lap, it just sits there.
That's
and
impressive.
It's not dipping down, and it's not pulling up on me like this. Now, because Ken had removed so much wood from the back of this guitar to make it lightweight, 4.5 to 5.5 pounds, depending on the model, he also was removing some of the strength of that wood.
Now look at this area over here. It has like like a million cars with joints and like hardware going up in there.
And some of that tone. So to bring strength and tone back into the guitar, what he did is he combined carbon, glass, and epoxy. It's kind of like when we were in
Carbon, glass, and epoxy.
elementary school and we combined newspaper, wallpaper paste together to make paper mache. In Ken's case, what he did is he combined carbon, glass, and glue to come up with this new material. And when you watch the video of the factory tour,
That's cool.
you actually see that material. It's called a carbon, glass, epoxy composite material. It's about the thickness of a business card. And what happens is a layer that gets applied right here on the back of the neck, and another layer gets applied across the whole body. The glue itself is heat activated, so
That's cool. So he's saying that they took those three materials, made one with them, and do they cover the whole guitar with it? Do I understood right? Cover the whole guitar with this material? It's kind of cool. So they make like a case over the guitar. That's why you can't see the wood.
when you watch the factory tour, you'll see some ovens. But once
Okay, so let me. He's talking about the stainless steel frets there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay, he's talking about kind of like the system here.
so you'll see that there's a 9-gauge plate in the guitar. If you want to change the gauge of strings, all you have to do is loosen this wheel. I refer to it as the flywheel. But you loosen this wheel, that will alleviate some of the tension that's here and allow you to remove this spring. You then will replace the spring with the appropriate one. Let's say, for example, you're putting 10-gauge strings on your guitar. You'll put a 10 plate in here, a 10 spring.
Oh, wait a minute. So you will put the metal plate over there, depends on whatever string you're putting in. So it's not using the springs, is what he means. He doesn't use the springs. He uses a plate. And if you want to use tens on it, you have to replace the plate with the tens. Did I got that right? That's what I got. Like watching this. Okay, how does the tremolo work?
Right? Tighten it back up, and then you can go ahead and tune your guitar up. Now you may have to tighten this down once or twice after that. But what you don't have to do, like on a
Should help with
when you change the
stability.
strings, what happens is the bridge will pull up on you. So you have to get back in there with a screwdriver and tighten down those screws to bring the bridge back flush to the guitar. And then you have to do that process 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'll never forget the first time that I did it. I thought I had completely ruined my guitar. Little did I know that it was okay, but I always thought afterwards that I had done something to screw it up. Now the tremolo, in the position that it's in right now,
Kind of a game
it's set so
changer.
that you can bend the tremolo down, and that's all. This little switch right here is called the step stop switch. And in this position, it's preventing this spring from moving forward, but it can move backwards, which means that you can bend down on the tremolo. Now, if you move this switch over this way, this spring is now floating. So that when you have
So you can't
your
put it
guitar
on.
inserted
You
into the
can't put a floating tremolo like that. That's cool. That's cool. So now they have a part here that, yeah, you can see like the factory tour and all that.
have not been cut yet. And we are the only guitar company that we're aware of that actually cuts these pockets out after the guitar's been painted.
Okay. All right. That's cool. You can see the factory or the former factory is not there anymore. If you want to see the whole video and in like normal speed, you can check my links and you have a reference to it. What else? I think they're demoing the guitar at some point. Okay, so here it is.
Of the Parker Fly guitar, he has today a custom piece. This is a Fly artist in a red burst. So you'll be seeing this in one of our dealers' locations pretty soon. For here today, what we're using is a Randall RG75 G2 series. It's a 75-watt guitar combo. On the clean channel, we have the level set at about the 9 o'clock position with very, very little reverb. A gain dialed in, great tone, nice clean rhythm tone. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to flip the selector switch up so that we are using the single coil neck. Now I want you to notice that this particular selector switch we have in the forward position, this is what controls the electronics. So right now in the forward position we're using just the magnetic pickups. If we were to put this in the back position, it would be piezo only, and if we had it in the center, it would be the both of them combined. So what we're going to do is we're going to
Okay, so he's explaining how the pickups work. I just want to hear the sounds, but yeah, they were famous because they had a piezo pickup over here, right? And yeah, so you could go from acoustic to electric. They have some stereo versions. Even the Korean one that I had the piezo pickup. So yeah.
I go over to channel 2. To a dirtier sound, we've got the single coil in the neck.
You know what? Let me put the. Yeah, I forgot to change it to the regular. Now it sounds better. Okay, let's see
Dirtier sound,
other
we've got the
tones.
single coil in the neck.
Don't like it. At least with that tone.
To an acoustic sound, and we'll let Matt play.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's like a piezo, like a. That's actually the same pickup that That's actually the same pickup that acoustic electric guitar has. That was like a small bar that goes on the strings. It can sound kind of bright, but it's the same pickup. I mean, you can put an EQ after that, like a EQ pedal, and it'll work way better. For I mean, it depends on the purpose, what you want. I found this demo from a store, worldmusicsupply.com, and he's also showing some of the options for the guitar.
Again, with a lot of the Parkers that we've seen, you have the piezo pickups here, which give you a nice acoustic sound, and I'll go through that a little bit later. 2 volume knobs here. This one here is for the first volume knob is for your bridge pickup. Second one here is a tone knob. Bottom one is for your neck pickup. Pickup switch here is for your bridge pickup, in the middle for both, and then of course the top for the neck. Some of the other features here, like with a lot of Parker guitars, it does have a stereo output. You can go from 2 different amps at one time, go from a nice acoustic sound and use your piezo pickups.
There's some reverb on it. Put some EQ and some reverb, and it sounds good.
The other nice features you can do with that is you can use both of them at the same time and go stereo with both.
So you have both the sounds there. You had the electric sound and the acoustic sound. That's revolutionary for its time. Like one of the first bands that I saw back then with this guitar was a band named Tantric. It's a band name from I think the early 2000s, was it, or the late 90s. They were combining acoustic sounds with electric, and very grungy. It's kind of like a post-grunge band. I don't know if they're still around or they're broken up, but this was the original lineup over here. Like the guy to the right, I forgot his name. Ooh. Yeah, but he was the same guy. They're all, except the singer, the same guys from Days of the New. And so yeah, he was going back and forward with acoustic and electric, and he will use Parker guitars for that transition. So yeah, those are Parker guitars, and those are some of the models. Beautiful guitars. Like, yeah, we'll make fun of them with my friend. This is like the one I saw was just like this one, but now I kind of want one. Years ago, now especially after seeing it in person, I mean, I think they're great. Like I said, I did have one of the Korean made ones, but that was flat. It didn't have none of the contours and none of the. It had the shape, the basic shape, but flat with a flame maple veneer on top. Nice guitar though. What a friend of mine has it. It is a nice guitar though, but I would like one of these. Yeah, definitely. Yep. Yep. Would love for one of those. Yeah. So I found. Now I found a 1996 Parker catalog. 1996 Parker catalog, which is this one here. Yeah. Look at all the things that it has. Yeah. To adjust. Look at all the curves and all the work that had to be done in that instrument. All the hours. Yeah, they're expensive guitars. They're not cheap, and they're going up in price too. I remember a couple of years ago they weren't that expensive. See all that shape there. Look at the controls. Beautiful instrument. Very, very ahead of its time. very ahead of its time, definitely. So yeah, another guitar that I would like to talk about, really this is the last one, is blade guitars. Now, blade guitars, I thought they were discontinued, but they actually not. They're still made. I think they're just European guitars, so you don't see them in the catalogs anymore over here. But I remember when I opened the Musician's Friend, and you will look at like the kind of like the best guitars, the untouchables, the one you think you will never be able to get them or justify their purchases. And I think about blade guitars. Like back then, it was like don't even think about it. Like yeah, it was like and and also you will look at them and you will be like, well, that's just an expensive. That's just an expensive, an expensive Fender, and I wasn't far off either, because yeah, it was kind of an expensive Fender, just with modern appointments and modern twists, Um, so yeah, these are blade guitars. See, it's the same models as Fender, pretty much like a Stratocaster, Telecaster. It's kind of funky, but kind of looks like a Tele or something. You see, they just like modern appointments, kind of like Sir now that they make like Fender copies, pretty much. Classic copies they call it, but it's Fender copies. But it's just modernized and with their own type of touch. Okay, so let's get the narrator.
Blade Guitars is a manufacturer of electric guitars and bass guitars founded by luthier Gary Levinson in 1987. Using the experience he gathered from his work, he decided to start Blade Guitars in 1985. By 1986, he was refining the idea of a line of guitars based on the concept he defines as classic design, creative technology at this time. He was also determining the features that would characterize his range of guitars. Blade Guitars made their debut in October 1987 at the Music Show of Tokyo. Their presentation at the Frankfurt Music Messe in 1988 signaled their European launch. The main concept behind the design of Blade Guitars is classic design, creative technology. From this, it would be sensible to infer that a significant portion of their range is inspired by well-established electric guitar and bass designs.
What I say?
Indeed, most of their designs are based on the Fender Stratocaster and Telecaster, with some discrete modifications in their electronics and construction to provide a broader tonal palette and improved playability, respectively.
Oh yeah, pretty much what I said. It's like Fender copy is just a little bit more what you call it, they were a little bit more like customized, like made with like certain specs, like trying to put it in like a modernizing classic the guitars, pretty much, kind of like what Sir does, what Fender is doing now with the Ultras. That type of market, it was Blade's market. So yeah, they're still around. They're not gone by any means. It's just that they used to be, what I had was a Musician's Friend catalog, and you will have Blade guitars all around the catalog, and I don't see that anymore. I think it's more that is a European company. Yeah, I didn't find that much stuff in Blade. What I found is a video from a great guitar player, one of my favorite YouTubers, which is called Greg, from Greg's Guitars, and he's checking out a Blade RH4 Classic, which is a Stratocaster copy. So let's check it out. I love how this guy plays. Well, that guitar has great tone. Well, I mean, anything that Greg plays sounds great. So that ain't fair. That doesn't tell me anything. Just kidding around. Yeah, he I mean, I'm not. Yeah, everything that he plays sounds great. I'm not lying about that. I'm not exaggerating about that. He does sounds great, and he does play great. But yeah, that's my point. And yeah, I mean, what's up with these guitars? What happened? Some of them, like the Parker, the Hammers, they get sold to a big conglomerate and they make something different out of them. They just make a cheaper versions or don't run along with the original owner's vision. I don't blame the owner though. I mean, remember reading a book called Choose Yourself, and in that book said that if you come up with a company and quickly sell it for $2 million back then, now it will be like $3.5 million. Just sell it and and kind of like just do another company. It's what a lot of people do. I don't think these builders started this business because of that, because they probably just love their companies. But sometimes conglomerates will buy companies for their resources, and they like split them apart and do something else, sell the stock. It's kind of like Gibson when they bought Epiphone. They were not just trying to just run Epiphone parallel to them. Maybe they thought about it, but what they ended up using was Epiphone's equipment, and a lot of guitars were made with Epiphone's equipment, and they just shut the company down. And what you see nowadays is just like the name Epiphone. It's Epiphone. It's not really Epiphone. It's kind of like that company disappeared and they just like repurposed the name to do their off-brand guitars, which are great too, because I have a couple of them and I love them. I love my Epiphone guitars. None of them originals, just Gibson off-brand. Gibson not off-brand. Gibson overseas, should I say? I'm sorry. Also, I hate that I'm using this AI kind of like narrator. I'm just using the Google Assistant. It's kind of lame. But yeah, don't want to read it myself because my thick accent and whatever. So yeah, if you have any comments or any questions about this equipment, can put it on the comments. If you want to suggest anything for the channel, please do the comments as well. If you want to check the original videos that I used in this stream, they are in the description. And please leave a like, subscribe, and share with friends.